welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Ian Carlos Crawford, and joining me for this Patreon episode discussing the 25th anniversary of Buffy Season 3's Enemies, I have the hosts of Prophecy Girls.
Hi.
Kara.
And Steph.
Yay! And she is a professor of gender, sexuality, feminist, and social justice studies at McGill University.
Hi, I'm Alex Ketchum.
Hello, I'm so happy to have the three of you. So the episode opens on Buffy and Angel leaving a sexy movie about food. I want you all to know, I could not remember. We discussed this literally in the episode that we recorded 100 years ago on Enemies, and I forgot that the movie isn't a real movie. I Googled it. I paused on the name on the marquee, and it is not a real movie. It is a made-up movie.
Well, then I can stop searching.
They are rattled because it was sexy. And Faith enters being all very Faith-like, where she's like, check out the lust bunnies. And she's like, I'm just keeping her warm for you. Faith and Buffy go on patrol. Also, Faith says she's keeping her warm for Angel, which I always am like, I will never not be on my Faith and Buffy sapphic.
Oh, I'm right there with you, Ian. I don't actually. I very, very seldom have ships. That's just not something I'm into.
Yeah.
But one of the rare ships that I get behind is Buffy, because it's just so fascinating. Right? The light, the dark, they are perfect for each other. They understand each other's burdens so well. And that line, and later on in the episode, some other things that happen, and I'm just like, I'm here for this.
Yeah, yes. Alex, you mentioned it earlier when...
Yeah, for sure. Their sapphic dynamic. I think it's wild when some of the writers reflected that they didn't do it on purpose, because it just seems so evident as a viewer. Yeah, they said they were surprised that anyone had that interpretation, because it's just so clearly there.
Time back then.
So in the graveyard, they meet this demon who says he has the Books of Ascension. And I don't know why in my brain, even though I have been covering this whole season, I kind of thought that the Books of Ascension were just always a background thing. I didn't realize that we didn't we knew the mayor was building to something, but we didn't know what it was. In my brain, that was just always what the mayor, we knew that explicitly, but this is when we learn explicitly what it is, right?
How does this demon know? How does this demon just know that this is the time to bring up the Books of Ascension? He's got an inn somewhere. He knows stuff.
Now I'm mad that I don't have that in my notes, because you're fucking right. It's how does he know?
He just comes out of the blue. It's just I have exactly what you need to fight the evil that's in this town, and it's five Gs, and, and that's it. Where'd he come from?
I always wonder when these demons come upon the Slayer, looking for the Slayer in a cemetery. I'm like, how did you know which cemetery in Sunnydale the Slayers were going to be patrolling tonight?
This guy knows all. This is an all-knowing being.
And I also do think this demon, I'm sure there's something else, but I do feel like this demon is kind of this first time Buffy kind of shows that killing a demon might not be so black and white. Right?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Because this demon isn't attacking, he isn't a threat. He's kind of this skeezy turd, right? But he's not killing anybody. And he's bargaining with them. He's not being I'm gonna kill you if you don't give. He's just hey, let's do a fucking barter, and you give me money and I give you these books.
He wants a plane ticket.
Yeah,
that's what he wants.
He just wants to save his own ass, which I get it. And I like that, because that is one of the few things I will always say I do think Angel did better, is kind of showing the gray areas. But I like that this demon is a gray area, right? And we do, when Faith does go to his place to kill him, it is brutal, right? And you are watching it kind of ooh, it doesn't feel just like Buffy hunting a vampire in the graveyard, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really think what you're saying with Angel doing it better, that this demon really sets up the precedent for the show Angel to be able to have that gray space too. Plus, this guy is just a great character too. Yeah, he makes the episode so fun, and his jokes are bring some levity throughout the episode.
And I like that he doesn't look like a lot of other demons. He like is human-y, but also looks like he has like horns, like he's kind of devilly looking. And he also dresses like Doyle. He runs off. Faith goes to kill him, or goes to chase him, and Buffy's like, let him go, whatever. Which also is Buffy. That's Buffy having the gray area too, right? Because I feel like normally it's like, no, I gotta kill this demon, and even she's like, he's not really a threat. Like, whatever, it's fine. Post credits, we get the mayor and Faith. She's telling him about this demon with the books, and I am curious what the class thinks, because the mayor is like, you know what I wish you'd pull your hair back, and she's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then he tells her she worries too much for a girl her age, and then gives her a fucking glass of milk. I am curious what y'all think of their relationship, because I've seen people debate it online. I've talked about it. For me, I do think the mayor is evil, but I genuinely don't think he has like, I genuinely think he does like think Faith of as like a nice good girl, like, or whatever some like old dude would say about a teenager that he likes in a familial way and not in a creepy way.
I think he genuinely cares for her. I don't think that because for him, he's like helping foster her to be evil like him. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit icky, but I actually found the milk just sitting out there to be a bit more icky.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Refrigerate that shit.
But I also really wondered with the milk, if it was a product placement from the milk board. You know how they got extra money for Beer Bad from that liquor board where it was supposed to stop people from drinking booze, that I wonder if the milk board gave them some product placement money to have the mayor drinking milk and stuff.
Milk, the choice of evil people.
And I can't remember if it was season 3 or 2 that Sarah Michelle Gellar did do like Buffy milk ads with the milk. So yeah, that could be that. Cara, what do you think of the relationship?
This Canadian agrees.
3 Canadians who all politely agree. Welcome to Slayerfest 98.
No, I agree that there's no like creepy intentions on the mayor's part. He's not like grooming Faith in a sexual way. Yeah, I think he's grooming her for evil.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. He sees her as a daughter figure. I think we need to remember, right, that we're just learning now the mayor has lived a long life. He used to have a wife and children. I think he misses those things.
Yeah.
And so Faith for him is an opportunity to play it being this father figure one last time before he ascends. And the one thing I might add to what you've said so far is I do think that he's fond of Faith, but as the season goes on and he gets further and further from his humanity, I think that, you know, he would turn on Faith if he needed to. He would sacrifice her without a second thought if he needed to, because he is fond of her, but kind of in the way that you become fond of a pet or a plaything. It might have started as more of a father-daughter thing, but he's losing his humanity fast here.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm leaning a little bit into what you guys are saying, but for the most part, I think he sees her as a tool. Pet is a nice way to put that, actually. I think that he is a master manipulator. I think that he's had over 100 years of planning and preparation for this very year. And I don't think anything would get in that way. Faith was like a pleasant surprise because, it's someone I can control. It's somebody I can manipulate. Maybe it brings it back a little bit of a feeling of family, for the good, for the sake of the good old times, maybe. But I see him as just everything he says in this very scene. It's manipulative, right? He's getting her to trust him. As we said, it's not sexual grooming, but it is a type of grooming. And that's how I think he sees her. I'd like to believe that he sees himself as her dad, but as the season goes on, maybe not so much in this episode, but as the season goes on, I'm like, no, she's really just his most powerful asset, and he wants to nurture it, make sure that his ascension goes off without a hitch.
Well, for me to be oddly polite American, I agree with all 3 of you. I feel like I So, all three of you are very smart and speak confidently, and that's what I need to agree with. So I'm like, all three of you could have said completely different things, and I'd be like, yes, I agree. We cut to the library, and the Scoobies are discussing the Ascension. Xander asks what it means. Wes and Giles don't know, and then Willow does know. And I love how so much of Willow, especially this season, like, is set up for the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like her arc. We very, like, looking at it now, it almost feels heavy-handed, but it is done, I think, really well, because it's like little things like this that feel kind of like, you know, out of context. It's like, oh, well, she is really smart. Okay, yeah, she looked at a text he didn't want to, but she's smart enough and it's fine. And then, like, slowly it's like, ooh, she's doing a little too much of that. And it's like, oh, well, now she's, you know, trying to end the world with her magic. And, like, I guess one would think maybe that's what Giles was kind of afraid of, or something. Like, he was afraid of something bad happening, and then something bad happens, right?
Yes. There's always this arrogance when it comes to Willow and her magic. Not so much at the beginning, but you start to see it a little bit here, and then you obviously it spirals in season 6. But it's that arrogance in not respecting Giles and his restrictions around magic and her. Giles is her elder, right? Giles had dabbled with magic in his youth, and he knows the dangers of it. And he is trying to protect Willow from all that. And, like, you know, she already has dabbled in dark magic with the ensouling of Angel. But ultimately, he wants to protect her from it, and she doesn't respect that about him, right? She's like, I'm going to go look in the text anyway. And she gets away with it because it is helpful. She's a smart person, and she does find the one mention of the Ascension or whatever. But I get, like, Giles is really annoyed with her in this scene, and I get it. And it's like you're saying, Ian, I totally agree. It's actually really subtle and well done. I don't think it's heavy-handed at all. I think that if you are watching this episode or this season for the very first time, you might note this, but you would never be, like, in any way expecting what comes later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who enters looking fantastic in all red, Cara?
Cordelia.
Cordelia.
Yeah, is it Cordelia?
I was like, why am I being asked?
I just do that sometimes. I call them people.
It's very teacher of you.
Yeah, no. I would like to say that it's because I'm a teacher, but I do that with the podcast all the time before I started teaching. I love the way she breezes into the scene to hit on Wesley and breezes right out of the scene. I just appreciate, I put king shit. She keeps her eyes on the prize and then leaves. And, you know, like, actually not great student. I have trouble remembering that these people are not supposed to be the same age because they just so clearly look the same age. I don't know if any of you have that. Like, I forget that, like, oh, this is supposed to be kind of weird because they're not supposed to be the same age, but they just look the same age.
It's not even the age thing. It's not even the age thing. It's he's in a position of power, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, is
not
he
the
with
school's
her?
power? Not the school's power.
We don't ever clarify if he actually works there or is just there sometimes.
Yeah, because there's that line in the one episode where he's Giles says to Wesley, "Oh, she's 18, man." You know,
the prom,
yeah, exactly. So I don't know, but yeah, he doesn't really have power over her, and I actually really like her confidence here. She comes in and she's like, I need to study. I study best in a fancy restaurant. 8 works for me. I just love it. It's bold and it's powerful. And I don't think at that time we saw many representations of women and girls on TV asking out, like, men on dates. And so I really like that because she's popular and respected in the school. So I think that's actually nice to see that.
But then, of course, along with that, we have Xander slut-shaming her for it, right?
Oh,
or
for
making
sure.
fun of her for it. So the show gives us this, but then the show also has to put her in her place.
Gives and takes away. True. Yes.
To add to that, I think Cordelia's confidence in this scene, asking Wesley out, is a very effective foil to Faith's attempts to seduce Angel.
Yes.
Because Faith is portrayed as a sexual being in season 3, and she's portrayed as being very sexually confident. But a lot of that, I think, is a veneer. It's something that she's putting on, and she's not as experienced and she's not as confident as she makes herself out to be. And that's what we're kind of seeing throughout this episode. Whereas Cordelia's like, I see it, I want it.
Yeah.
Have we ever gotten confirmation on how old Wesley is?
That's the thing, right? I just, because they look the same age, I'm like, I need someone to explicitly tell me how old this man is supposed to be.
I wanted to guess like 27. You know, like he has to obviously be younger than Giles, like a whippersnapper of a watcher that they sent there just to get rid of him, basically, give him some field training. But he can't be younger than 25.
Right, because he still had to graduate. What one would assume the Watchers, one would assume the Watchers Council like ages are the same as like college ages, right?
Yeah, one would assume.
Then we go to the demon's place. Faith arrives. She wants to see the books. He kind of shows them to her. He says the $5,000 is negotiable, and she pulls out her knife and does what, Alex?
She stabs him repeatedly.
Yeah. And I, Alex, I'm curious. I just interrupted you. I'm sorry. What do you think about the like way they show this?
I think, they really show the death in a much more sympathetic way for the demon, and he gets to fight back, and then he's passed out kind of on top of her, which they don't really show in the same way too often with the framing. And they also make us really feel his kind of humanity or his like personhood right before, because he's like talking about like the foxing on the pages and it's like a book nerd antiquarian. And so we like really start to care for him pretty quick. At least I did. I don't want to speak for y'all, but we start to care for him pretty quickly, and then she murders him. But I would say that later on in an episode, Buffy has that line that says like, this was someone's idea of a party.
Yes.
But I had that in my mind while watching this scene, and I didn't really feel that way, but I don't know.
I was going to bring this up later, but I'm going to bring this up now. The thing about this episode that I always have the question of is, when did they know? And when did they because did they I felt like she said, oh, this was someone's idea of a party as an attack on Faith, like just to dig at her. But I don't know. I even watching it this time, I was like, when realistically could it have been that they knew? Because that warlock comes in, it feels like right after everything. So it's like, when did they have time to contact him, put him in touch with the mayor, or did he come to town and Giles is like, oh, my buddy's here, and then they got coffee and Giles is like, oh, do you want to help me with this thing? I don't know how much is pre-planned and how much was oops, we're here, let's trick Faith. That's where I'm a little confused on, because in the next scene, Faith goes to see Angel, and we get them both being kind of broody with each other, and she tries to kiss him, and Buffy sees her kiss him on the cheek goodbye, and I was kind of is this on purpose? Because I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, there's a couple of plot holes in the episode for sure. You're pointing out one big one. It's just where and when and why. I mean, I have a theory as to when I think it would be. But then there's another big plot hole too, about which is the why of seducing Angel at all. On the mayor's end of things, but we can get to that later. My guess, I mean, I'll just bring it up now. My theory is that the warlock, or the glowy-eyed light show guy, he came to town because he was summoned by the mayor, who stayed up all night summoning him, and then he went to Giles and said, here's a plot. Somehow in the underworld, they all know that Angel and Buffy are dating. So he's like, I'm going to tell Giles, because he owes him a debt. And then that's when they kind of come up with this plan. And that has to happen at some point between when Buffy and Willow talk about her insecurities about seeing Angel with Faith, and then when Faith goes to
right, because there's no way that Buffy and Willow that can't, that's for no one then if they know.
I think
Willow doesn't know. None of the other Scoobies know.
Just Giles and Buffy. So I think Buffy was like, I'm gonna go to Angel's. Giles tells her what's up. She goes to Angel's, tells him what's up, or she calls him. She has him on a phone. So so she has to go there. It was just a lot of stuff. It is a plot hole, but my guess is that it happened within a very small amount of time during the day, lunchtime.
That would be where I would peg it as well. Yeah, I think that this is another example of, yes, the Scoobies are a huge help to Buffy. They are essential to her being a successful Slayer. But every once in a while, it's Buffy and Giles versus the world. We've seen that since season 1 of this show, and I do enjoy that. I enjoy, especially because they had a rocky relationship earlier this season when he literally poisoned her.
Yes.
I'm enjoying that this is Buffy like showing Giles that her trust in him is restored, and she is willing to work with him, and it's the two of them plotting this. I think they keep it a secret from the other Scoobies because they don't want Wesley to find out, of course.
Yeah, that's snitch.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't go well when he found out the plot they were doing before. Cara, I don't know why, but you saying like Buffy and Giles versus the world, I'm like, I could cry. I don't know why. That just sounds nice. And I'm like, yes, I love this dad and daughter.
Because he's her dad. Like
he's an actual dad, not like the mayor is to Faith. Giles is the dad. The banana eating dad.
Ooh, but if Giles had gone evil and corrupted Buffy, the fanfic writes itself.
More.
So then we oh god, where are we in my notes now? I'm a little lost.
We would be at the scene where Angel's reading in the dark with all the candles and stuff, and then Faith comes in and is like saying that she's scared of what she's turning into.
Right.
She's
okay.
wearing a nice, tight, like blood red shirt.
She looks good in that shirt, right? Like, it's also pretty iconic. Like, I think of that look with like her hair looking great and like.
Oh no, I'm talking about Angel, but yes, Faith also looks great.
Oh yeah, when she first goes to see him, it's like a tight sweater.
Yeah, he so rarely wears them,
Yes. I mean, I do think season 3 Angel is like peak babe. Like season 3 Angel and Buffy, and then season 1 Angel on Angel is like peak babe Angel.
Ian, I've never agreed with anyone more in my entire life.
When we were covering season 1 of Angel, like I would be like, oh, this episode's stupid, but God, does he look hot? Like,
look at him.
Yeah. So yeah, Faith goes to like, she's trying to manipulate him. And the thing I liked that I don't think I caught on before, that her like quote unquote acting here goes back to Consequences when Giles says to Buffy, Faith is a lot of things, but she's not a good actor. Like Giles is saying like, you can tell when she's lying, which Angel kind of picks up on pretty quickly. And I feel like to us, it does feel like, well, Faith does seem to be doing a good job, but like in the context of the show, it's like they can pick up on Faith's cues, I guess, right?
Angel's always been pretty good with sussing out the liars. Like this goes back to season 2, Lie to Me, right? He's like, I don't like Ford. And everyone's like, it's because you're jealous. He's like, no, literally, like he's a liar. And this is part of his character. He's a detective. He just knows. But my question around here is, when? Like, so Faith has come with her bloody hands to seek help from Angel, and like, how much of this do we think is legit? Like, is it a real ask, or is she already kind of plotting in her head that she wants to take him? And like, this is where I get confused, and I don't have like a legit point where I'm like, oh, it changed here. But at what point did she start showing interest in romantically in Angel or sexually? Because and this could come from Consequences, right? She's like, he helped her, he tried to help her, and like, she remembers that, and he's a safe haven for her in a lot of ways. And I love their dynamic going forward in both series. Like, it's great. But yeah, when it comes to this like part where she wants to hook up with him, I'm like, this kind of came out of nowhere to me, and I don't know when it happened, and also later, why does the mayor work so hard to make it happen? Like why?
Yeah, honestly, I'm shocked that Angel isn't more put off by this. And is it like, where is this coming from?
That is true.
He's irresistible. He knows that.
There you go. You answered your own question. Yeah. That's why.
He's like, of course.
Because then Faith does go to see the mayor and says that it didn't work. And he's like, well, we couldn't do it the old fashioned way. So like there was a plan there.
Yeah. Like, but when?
Yeah.
And why?
Because she goes directly from the like killing this demon to this. Yeah. Wes and Giles are discussing the demon. And this is where we find out that Wesley tells Giles that the council doesn't know they're working together and wouldn't be happy to find out. And I like that Giles is like, yeah, I'm not exactly happy about it either. Like,
he's like, not my problem.
Buffy walks in, and I have to pause to talk about this ridiculous outfit that she is in, because it's not wild for the time. It's just like this. She is gonna go do demon like reconnaissance, and like she's wearing this. What would you call it? It's like a denim pencil skirt dress thing, right?
A pinafore dress.
Oh, I don't even know what that word is.
Yeah, what's that?
Like a jumper dress.
Oh,
yeah.
So a dress that you wear on top of another,
like not
top,
like a fancy dress, but like a dress you wear like that.
Yeah, an overdress. It's casual.
This was my favorite outfit, Ian.
Sorry, Kara.
I don't love it or hate it. It's just so striking for Buffy, and it feels like it's all denim, and that just doesn't. I don't know. It just like she's wearing boots, and that skirt. I think of I forget which season 6 episode where she goes to kick and she can't because she's wearing the like tighter skirt, and she's like stupid skirt, and she has to like rip it. That's what it like reminds me of, because I'm like, how could she possibly slay in this and do like kicks and stuff? So Buffy enters, and Wesley wants her and Faith to go see this demon. Buffy makes a waiting for Godot joke about Faith makes Godot look punctual. And then I do love Wesley saying, we'll never find the demon. And as Xander enters and is like, found the demon, here's the address. Like, I almost feel bad for Wesley at this point, because even Xander is shitting on him. And it's like, oh, even the bottom of the run of the Scoobies is like getting one up on you.
He deserves it.
Enter Faith. And Faith does the like, where you going, girlfriend? And grabs Buffy's arm, and Buffy wrenches it out of her grip. They leave to find the demon. And Xander mentions noticing some tension between them. And he's like, is it me or just get cold in here? And then they go to the demon's apartment and find out he is dead. And like, this is when Buffy's clearly like knows everything, right? Like, I feel like this is when she's like not even pretending that well, because she clearly wants to like punch Faith in the faith in the faith in the face. What are words?
Yeah, I mean, this just our conversation tonight has opened my eyes a little bit up, opened my eyes more up to this, where her tension earlier, I would have always read it as she's like, oh, you're hitting on my man. But now I'm wondering if in the library, when Faith grabs her and she pulls it away, it's because Buffy's already suspecting that Faith is up to something and she doesn't trust her, right?
Yeah.
And then Faith, now she has to go somewhere with Faith, and she's like, I don't want to. And they go when she finds the dead body, and I think Buffy's putting it all together, sorting out all the clues, and she's like,
Yeah. Faith says like, they see him as murdered, and Buffy says, this isn't a hit, it looks like a party. And Faith defensively is like, maybe he put up a fight. Not that I would know. I mean, maybe he did. Who could know? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well,
not me.
Not that I did it.
I was at Angels. I mean, no, I wasn't.
I was trying to kiss your boyfriend. I mean, so we see the mayor. I do love seeing the mayor interact with like straight up like demon-y demons. I love that he's offering this warlock a mint, and he's like, mint? I didn't think so. And I gotta point out, I love the warlock's voice. Mm-hmm. It like reminds me of Optimus Prime, kind of. Like, I'm waiting for him to be like, Autobots, roll out. Like, he just feels it's so like booming and like commanding old man voice, but in this like warlock demon looking guy.
Well, we don't know what he does,
True.
Day in and day out. He could be a voice actor. We don't know. Like, he obviously works in lights and like presentations in some way,
He likes the drama.
Movie trailers.
Yeah, like, we don't know. He could be Optimus Prime.
Then we cut to Sunnydale High, and this is when Willow says, I too know the love of a taciturn man, and you have to look at their actions. And Buffy admits to not actually talking to him. This is where my notes go off the rails of like, when the fuck did they know? Are they putting on a show for someone who knows what? But I like these scenes of Buffy and Willow when we get to just see them being best friends.
Yeah, I love the girl talk. I always love when these girls get together and just talk about teenager stuff. That's, we're here for the monsters and the demons and the hero stuff, but we're also here for the teenage stuff and the girl stuff. And these two have been ping-ponging this advice back and forth to each other for the last 3 seasons, right? You should talk to him. oh, I'm feeling this way. You should talk to him. Like they always are sharing this advice. And it's good advice. And I love to see it. But I have such a beef with Willow this season because of the affair. And I know the love of a taciturn man. Yeah, and you squandered it. Like I get really bitter about Willow. But in this particular scene, what I didn't like that Willow says is that she calls Faith that kind of girl, right? She's like she's like, oh, she's totally that kind of girl. She's that girl, doer kind of girl, like that's what she says. And I was like, Willow, that's rich. That's really rich coming from you, because so far on the show, you are the only that girl. You're the only girl that has done that and cheated. Like Xander obviously was there too, but like don't be coming for Faith when you've been walking the same walk, Yeah.
Well, remember, she hates Faith now because of what happened with Faith and Xander.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Angel's apartment, Angel's mansion, and Faith is in her bright red leathery. Do y'all know? Is it leather or just like shiny material? I couldn't quite tell.
I think
pleather.
It's that strange 90s, like it's almost pleather, but it's also like extra plasticky.
Yeah.
I had a shirt that looked like that. I think it was from, so.
It's like light material though, right? It's like a lighter.
Yeah, it's very light,
thin.
but it doesn't feel good on your skin because it feels like pure plastic.
It looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it makes noise. Does it make noise? It's moving around.
It does look like it would, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like super crinkly, I don't remember, but I just remember very sweaty, and I feel like I got it at something like Express or whatever. One of those types of stores, but yeah.
The year I learned that pleather is like the worst thing to wear is a friend and I went as Buffy and Angel one year for Halloween, and I got black pleather pants, and I was like, I look fucking good in these. And halfway through the Halloween party we went to, I was like, oh my God, I'm sweating so much. Fuck. Like,
there was a whole Friends episode about that where Ross wears leather pants for New Year's.
You sweat a lot. Vampire Slayers make it look like effortless, but no, it's like a lot of effort to wear them and not comfortable and terrible. So she comes in, she does her does her upset, well, blah, blah, blah. And he tells her it's important to have someone who has been there. And he tells her, I trust you. And can someone tell me what she says next? Because I love it.
Chump.
Yes.
Chump.
I don't know what it is, but I love that. I love that she's like chump and then just throws the blood on him. Like, it's so good.
And she ruined his best white tank top. Like that bitch.
The man wears a white tank top very well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Not that I have to tell you, I know you know stuff.
And it looks like the kind where you buy them in like packs. So you probably got more, which is a good thing because she ruined this one.
And in walks our warlock who does his spell. And I like that she
makes this look good. Like,
right?
Yeah.
Faith is the only one watching this happen who's not in on it. Like, he could have just said, okay, presto, no soul.
He's a drama queen. He likes a show, and I get it.
He probably went early and set up, like set lights.
He and Angel rehearsed it first. He gave Angel notes.
Giles was there just to hang out. Yeah, this is a theatrical performance, and I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It is so funny, like, knowing it, it's like, man, they're doing a lot here.
But if you didn't know it, like, this would have been a shocking moment. Like, oh, God.
Yeah, because it does
not
look
again.
Cool.
Not a shirt. Your shirt.
Oh, I like that we're going back to the shirt stuff. I'm like, yeah, those light shows are cool. And you're like, but that shirt. There's all the drama, the noise of the spell, the blue light. He floats in the air and comes back, and he's not, but is not Angelus. He's Angelus, but he maybe not.
Am I?
Him and Faith kind of like have a flirt fighting thing going on. I will say, watching it this time, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I fully fucking get why Buffy's like, I don't feel great about this. You seem to be liking that too. Like, just like, again, like who gave who notes on like what to do and how far to go and what it needed to look like. Because like, he doesn't do a lot, right? Like,
yeah, he's gotta sell that shit. Like, he knows from the night before that Faith wants to bone him, and he's like, okay, so I have to play this up to get more information out of her, right? The more I use my lips, the more she'll use hers, if you know what I mean. But I saw somebody online had said, like, I think that they had sex between the scenes, and I was like, I think you're writing fan fiction. Like, get out of there. Like, no way.
Angel would never.
No, he would never.
No. I do think this might sound weird because they make out here in this scene, but I do think Angel sees her more as like a sister type figure than like anything else. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's playing a role, you guys. Don't let him fool you. He's really good at it, but like he doesn't want to be making out with her. He wants to make out with Buffy.
And then we cut to the Sunnydale Library where Wesley is talking and Cordelia is intently not listening, but listening kind of. We go to the mayor's office and I love this scene. It almost feels like Angel's having more fun than he normally would have. Like, I'm like, Angel's really getting into this. And I feel like he is getting such a kick out of being able to be shitty to the mayor, not good to Faith, and like, these are people that he hates anyway. Is this how they learn the mayor's invulnerable? Is that like where they learn that from?
So.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's why Angel's doing what he's doing, so he can test like the mayor, see like what his weaknesses are, if he has any.
That makes
sense. Very clever and handsome of him to do so.
That makes sense. Yeah. Very handsome. He tells the mayor he wants to kill Buffy. The mayor says, nice to see you're not one of those slacker types. And I like that he's like, have fun. And then he pulls Angel aside and is like, this is also just like bonkers. I love this unhinged energy when he's like, try to have her home by 11. Like, my dude, you are sending them out to kill people and you're worried about a curfew?
So was this the plan of the mayor's? Was he's like, okay, if we unleash Angelus on the town, that will distract or maybe kill Buffy, and therefore like he can, is that the whole point of like why? Because he doesn't care if Faith bones Angel or not. He actually just wants Angelus to create a little chaos to distract. Is that what's going on here?
That's what I thought.
Okay,
I wasn't sure either.
Yeah, I'm confused. It's coming together now in my brain. I'm like, oh, this could be why.
They arrive at Buffy's house, and I can remember the first time I watched this being like, when he's like, oh, I love what you did with your hair. And the way she's like, oh, which like, I get it. Again, I get it. Because I always get like, especially retroactively, I guess, but like watching these old episodes, I get like, oh no, I don't want the mom to be in danger. Like, that's Buffy's mom.
Well, I do enjoy, like, over on our podcast, we've kind of made a meme out of Joyce. We call her Stoner Joyce, and we've kind of given her this rich life outside of being
I see the
Buffy's
memes. I follow y'all.
Yeah, because in season 1, for so many episodes, she's just called Buffy's mom, right?
Yeah.
Like
until like episode 3, season 2, she's called Buffy's mom. No.
So I do think that the show does a good job of rectifying that error as the series progresses. We get to see more of Joyce's life other than being a mom. We get to see this portrayal of an older female character, like getting to have a romantic life in a sense, right? Like she dates Ted. Obviously that doesn't go great, but you know, she's putting herself out there. She puts herself out there with Brian, the publisher, later on. We've got all of these characters like Spike and Angel who have this rapport and are complimenting her looks and stuff. And I really like seeing that in a show, you know, as old as Buffy, a show from this time, just kind of, you know, gradually allowing us to celebrate the fact that, yeah, you know, she is an older character by the standards of television, but she can still get it.
She's always had the best hair on the show. Like, Angel's right to compliment it because it has always been amazing.
It really is. They get to his mansion, and I genuinely, because I love Buffy so much, I like hate seeing him grip Buffy up like that. Like, I'm like, oh, I like hate, even if it's just pretending, I hate seeing that. And then I hate seeing her sad face because she does it so well. And I'm like, no, stop acting so good, Buffy, because now I'm getting sad because you have your sad face. And like, I hate it. And I mean, they sell it, right? Like they do.
I have a question. Do you think that he actually, because he punches her and she knocks out, she passes out. Do we think he actually did that to make her unconscious, or were they faking that too?
I think Buffy would say punch me, but he would just do it later and she would pretend to get knocked out.
Okay.
Sorry, I interrupted you. What was your take? What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that she must be faking. Like there's no way that he would punch her out for real.
Yeah. We get a lot of sapphic scenes here. There are like 3 different times when it's like Faith really wants to kiss Buffy, right?
With lines like "bondage looks good on you, B."
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about that aspect of this scene, that subtext, and I'm curious on everybody's thoughts on this. You know, looking at it through this lens of queerness and feminism, and the show is an artifact from 25 years ago because the opening scene of this episode has Angel and Buffy walking out of a movie on a date, and they are scandalized by what they saw in that movie. And one of my first thoughts was that, you know, these days, with how raunchy our culture has become, I don't think you would be able to replicate that. I think there's an element of prudishness to parts of this episode and parts of Buffy in general that, you know, was of its time. And now that we're looking back on it, like I'm rewatching House right now, and I was just watching this episode where the patient of the week and his wife had a threesome with somebody else, and Cameron is scandalized and shocked that somebody would have a threesome while they're married. And I'm just like, oh, this was a more innocent time. So my point is, you know, Buffy is being a little prudish in that opening scene. And then later on, as the episode progresses, you have Faith trying to seduce Angel, and then you have Faith making these quips about bondage. And it's interesting to me how it feels like that first scene was almost there to set things up and remind us that Buffy is the good girl, right? She's the one who's, you know, not having sex with Angel because obviously that's going to lead to consequences. And she's the one who doesn't know that much about sex and she's innocent. Whereas Faith, because she's turning evil, of course she has to use her feminine wiles to try to seduce Angel, and she's experienced in the sex. And it's interesting to me how the show has always equated things like bondage and things like kink and queerness with these evil characters, at least up until, you know, Willow coming out in season 4. What do you all think about that?
I do think it's important, like the context of what you said is like they were more prudish times, because I do think that was very much back then, like the villain would be the like so sexual that they're even willing to go gay, which like shows that they're so villainous. And I do think that was like that was kind of a trope back then, right? It's like because that's so outlandish that like a girl would want to kiss another girl, that's because she's evil, and like it's showing us that she's evil. But realistically, and honestly, even with Faith, she's very sexual up front, right? The moment we meet her, she's slaying makes me horny and hungry, and she's not like quote unquote evil. Not that I think she's fully evil here, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I think when you're talking about kind of the queer villain trope, yeah, we definitely see that a lot. I'm not sure I fully believe that the 90s and early 2000s was a more innocent time. I feel like we want to think that there's this kind of narrative that we're always telling ourselves the past was more innocent, but I think we could compare other shows, but maybe like what it was permissible in like teen shows, because I am thinking of some teen shows today. So I guess I'm slightly contradicting myself. But this idea of like people joking about threesomes with married couples, I think you see that also sometimes like in 90s references to like 70s swinger culture and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Buffy is a little complicated with like queerness as villain, because obviously we have like Willow, but then she does become villainous. But we also have like Scott, who comes out later, right? And then there's the bully. So I don't know, but I think that this is like kind of just building off of the Bad Girls episode.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how the idea of bondage and kink and how it's related to villains and queerness in the show. I find that it could be a network thing as well, right? Because they're on the WB and that is meant for teens. Like Seventh Heaven was also like premiering on this show, on this network, right? Like the day before. So I find it interesting that with all this shame or awkwardness or prudishness that Buffy has around it, when the show moves to UPN in season 6, that's the season where she engages with it, right? And it's interesting that the show is very obvious about it. They talk about it, they show a little bit of it, but then she's also made to hate it and hate herself for it. So, you know, I don't really want to go too far into it. We're talking about enemies, obviously here, but that's when you guys were all saying your excellent points about it. I was thinking about how times have changed later on, right? And how having less or a different type of council overseeing, network overseeing the show, and how these things can change how they tell stories, particularly with these young women.
So, Buffy tells her, like, you had to tie me up. And, like, what did she say? Like, there's a term for people like you, a loser. And, like, man, Buffy is getting it all out. And I bet it felt great, right? I bet it felt great to say all the things she was feeling, get out all her anger about Faith and just say it to her face. And I don't know about y'all, but I love that version of Buffy. Confident and fucking over it is like my favorite Buffy. When like she knows that one, she's not like intimidated or scared by you or what you're doing. She is just annoyed by you. She is over it and she's just like being like kind of an asshole about it. And I love that confident Buffy. That's like, so good. Yeah, what do we think about the slow motion turn? Because I fucking love it.
Twist. Wow. Yeah. What a twist. Probably one of the biggest twists the show's given us so far, It's
just a fantastic reveal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wouldn't have seen it coming. Obviously, I've seen the show many times, I saw it coming. But if the first time, I'm sure my brain was like, what?
But it's still so satisfying. Even knowing that it's coming, it's just so well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Psych.
I'm best actor, second best.
So good.
And then I used to hate it. I loved it. I used to hate it. Now I start going back to loving again. Buffy going, psych, and putting her arms up.
Love it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. The Scoobies enter. They're not really helpful.
They're just there.
It's like all of them enter and all of them are not helpful. Buffy and Faith, I mean, they continue to have homoerotic fights. The forehead kiss, it feels too chaste for everything we just saw Faith do this episode. And she's like, well, let me give you a nice little forehead kiss.
Yeah, it would have been a lot more loaded, but I'm here for that. Like, again, that is the arc I wish that the show could have had for us. Because then when Faith comes back in season 7, that would have been so good.
Wait, Kara, I don't know if I've told you this before. I'm curious what you all think. I always read Faith and Buffy as like, and this is also me projecting as I am the gay person that I'm talking about in question here. I've been in numerous times, but I always view their relationship as Faith is kind of in love with Buffy. Buffy doesn't think about it. Buffy enjoys Faith's company when she enjoys it. When she doesn't, she fucking hates her. I don't think Buffy thinks about it as much as Faith thinks about it. Other than like once Buffy hates her and then she fucking hates her and she thinks about it. But I do think Buffy would hook up. But I don't think Buffy, like Faith would have probably dated Buffy if Buffy was like, yes, let's date. I don't think Buffy would have dated her. Like, I feel like Buffy reminds me of like the straight guy who's like, yeah, he can suck my dick. But like, is like, well, but I'm not gay. Like, don't kiss me. Or like, oh, I'm not going to hold your hand. And that's how I always read them. Kara dragged me. I know you're about to drag me.
Well, I haven't put that much thought into it, Ian. Like I said, shipping is not something I do a ton of. But where I was going with my whole like, oh, when she comes back in season 7, that would be so cool, is just like, yeah, the way I see it is, if we're speculating on what could have happened if the network and the writers had allowed this relationship to go in that slightly different, queerer, more sapphic direction, is I think it would have been interesting to see, Buffy and Faith have some kind of tryst, some kind of relationship, but it doesn't last very long and it's awkward and because of all of the, other circumstances, like Faith has killed people, like she's bad. I mean, so are other people that Buffy ends up sleeping with, right? But like Faith comes back in season 7 to be this ally, right? And it can be this awkward thing of like, everybody's like, what's their deal? And somebody has to be like, yeah, they slept together and don't ask about it.
Ooh, yeah, I would love hearing Dawn or Anya say that, or even Andrew say that line. Like, well, they slept together, but we don't talk about it.
Yeah. I just don't think Buffy would be interested. I agree with you, Ian. I don't think she would be interested in dating Faith. I don't think she would want her that way. I can see her like in the future hooking up. Right? Yeah. Like a physical thing. Well, they get hungry and horny after slaying one day and they do it. But I don't think Buffy would be attracted to Faith's personality, at least not in these early seasons. Buffy loves her good people. Like she like the fact that Angel is on a redemption arc, like she loves that in him. Riley is a good guy. I put that in quotes, but he is like technically a good guy. Yeah. She only starts showing interest in Spike romantically, I assume, because we're not quite there yet. But in season 7, that's when that happens, when he's already got a soul. So I think when Faith comes back in season 7, with her on her redemption path, right? Like she had to break out of jail to help, but she was already trying to better herself. I think Buffy would find Faith a lot more attractive in these later seasons than she would here.
What if we could have replaced Spike in season 6 with Faith?
Don't dangle fruit in front of me, Cara. Like that would have been so good. Oh.
And we also know that Buffy is open to dating women, because at least in the comics, she does date a woman at one point. But I agree with y'all that I don't think she'd want a romantic relationship with Faith, but would be interested in maybe hooking up or kind of exploring.
Well, I want to add, while we're talking about this moment where she kisses Buffy, right? The whole image of the two of them, they fight and then they end up in this kneeling position with knives to each other's throats. And I think and just the way that the choreography used the levels there of like, normally people are standing when they're in a standoff, but they're kneeling. So it's like they're both kind of in this extra vulnerable spot.
Yeah.
And for Faith to say, what are you going to do, B? Kill me? You become me. You aren't ready for that yet. And that line is just so iconic. There's so much foreshadowing there with what Buffy ends up doing to Faith at the end of the season. But I also think you aren't ready for that yet. If you wanted to, you could read the queer subtext into that of like, you're not ready for this yet. And then that's why she kisses Buffy on the forehead, is because she's like, well, I'm going to kiss you, but you're not quite ready for me to kiss you on the lips.
See you in season 7.
We'll circle back later.
We'll get back to this. Good point, Cara.
Yeah. Again, Cara, with the confident, smart voice, I'm like, yes, that is 100% correct. That is what they wrote it as. Like,
I have one other quick point about this sequence, which is, I just want to do a shout out to this show for giving us so many good fight sequences between women.
Yeah.
Because too often in media, even nowadays, when we get a cat fight, everybody's wearing tight spandex clothing and the angles are all, titillating and stuff.
Yeah.
And in shows like this with Buffy, right? It's like when Buffy is fighting another woman like Faith, it's just this fantastic, well choreographed, all out sequence, and I love it so much.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Even like as soon as you were saying, even today, I'm like, yeah, Black Widow like puts men between her thighs and then flips them over, and it's like
that's jujitsu, isn't it?
But like, it's only her that does that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like always her with like her thighs.
It's a lot of crotch fighting from Black Widow.
Well,
yeah, if it was like a lot of people did that, I'd be like, yeah, but I feel like it's on purpose.
I see what you mean. But like, Carl, let's not undermine the epic battle between Harmony and Xander in season 4.
It is a very good
never
point.
forget.
The best cat fight.
Yeah.
Is one that Xander's involved in.
Like, before we say only women have great fights, let's not forget.
But so, okay, now that we are at the end, what do we think Dawn would have been doing in this episode? Alex, I'm calling you first.
Awesome. Okay, so I think that when, Joyce opens the door and she's like, "Oh, hi, Angel." Angel compliments Joyce's hair. I think Dawn would be like, "Angel, Angel, Angel," and like really excited that he's there. And then, he'd be like, "Oh, hi, Dawn." And then she gets really excited, just like Joyce did. And then when Buffy is leaving with Faith and Angel, I think Dawn would ask to go, and Buffy would be like, "You can't come, Dawn." And she'd kind of whine. And then she'd also like, Faith would make a rude comment and Dawn would just glare at her.
Alex, I do have to ask you this question. I've asked a few people, and I'm going to ask all three of you. Do you think Dawn would have liked Faith or hated her at first?
Oh, I think she might have started by liking her, thinking she was cool because Faith would probably give her attention, but then she'd see how Faith treats Buffy, and ultimately Dawn will rally for Buffy.
I agree. I very much agree. Kara, what do you think Dawn would have been doing?
I must confess, I don't really have a good answer to this question.
That's fair.
Could not come up with anything.
That's okay.
I would have said something similar to Alex. I think we would have seen Dawn when they visit the Summers residence, and because she's in what, like grade 6 at this point,
like 12 years old or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I think Dawn would have taken away a little bit from Angel's interaction with Joyce. Right, it would have been more about Dawn in that scene. I can answer your second question though, as to do I think Dawn would have enjoyed Faith? I'm going to say no. I think Dawn would have seen through Faith pretty quickly.
Ooh,
I feel like Dawn has a good barometer for Mean Girls. And I think she would have seen Faith as somebody that, would not have been a good influence for Buffy. But here's the problem is nobody would listen to Dawn.
Also true. Yes. That tracks 100%. Steph, what do you think Dawn would have been doing? And do you think Dawn would have liked Faith?
Dawn would have been doing what she does best, which is eavesdropping. She would have been, she wouldn't have said hi to Angel. I think she would have been too scarred from the year before. I think she would have been up in her room. Everyone's ignoring her as is per usual. Yeah. And I think she would have stood by the door and just listened to the whole conversation and then just been very quiet in the background. Is it kind of a boring answer, but like that's the impression I got.
That's fair. Yeah, no.
Her made up past. I think she would have liked Faith. I think she would have been intrigued by her at first because she would have never met anybody like her before. But I think as soon as she found out that Faith boned Xander, she would have turned on her immediately.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So she would have found out by eavesdropping, of course.
I do like, because you are right. She is very good at eavesdropping.
Yeah, and then journaling about it later.
In the Dawn Meister Chronicles.
Yeah.
So I had a different answer. All of your answers are better. Now I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. But I put that Dawn would have somehow been, Xander would have had to babysit her, and Xander would have been walking with her when Xander got punched, and Angel would have had to think of an idea. Like he would have had to make an excuse as to why Faith and him could not attack Dawn because he would not want them to attack Dawn.
Angel punches Dawn too.
That is hilarious. I just came up with another idea.
Okay.
What if Dawn follows Angel and Faith and Buffy to the mansion, and so she's like watching and witnessing all of this?
I feel like a lot of our answers this season to that have been, well, Dawn likes to sneak. She would have just gone there and then it would have been a problem. A lot of people have had that answer.
I think, no, Dawn she would have been so young. Her and Joyce were enjoying their little book club. Remember they had a little book club going on in season 5? They probably read Charlotte's Web and went to bed.
That's a very pure answer. favorite outfit, Kara. I already know what it is, but tell us what it is.
Yeah, the purple top with the blue pinafore dress over top. And really, I think it's the hairstyle that clinches it for me. I really like Buffy has some nice updos in season 3.
She really does. Yeah.
Zigzag part.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's
and
like
it just ties the whole outfit
messy,
together.
but not messy. It's like the messy look, but it looks so good, right?
I think what I like so much about the outfit is the fact that it is quite a different look for Buffy. And I enjoy it when the costumers give us, something a little bit different, and Buffy gets to branch out.
Okay, that's fair. Steph?
Cordelia walked into that library wearing a gorgeous cotton trench coat that was red and a very tasteful pink slip dress underneath it. Her hair was also on point. So just that I'm like that. I would wear that now. She's just iconic. That was a great look.
That red looks so good on her.
Oh, she went there to learn English from Wesley, and by golly, she was going to achieve it.
Alex, what was your favorite outfit?
I really liked Willow's 1970s style embroidered coat with kind of the sheepskin wide collar a lot that she wore over her fuzzy orange sweater and overalls. But I particularly like the coat.
For the cold California season.
Yeah, exactly.
And in a twist of events, Kara, I have my favorite outfits. I want to read to you what I wrote for my favorite outfit. I love it for how unhinged and how different and striking it is. Buffy in that denim dress and magenta top. It's insane. I kind of love it. But also I do think face red button up is iconic. That was what I put for my favorite outfit.
Also, shout out to the white tank top that Angel wore and got ruined. I mean,
fair.
R.I.P. the tank top.
Did you have a rebuttal to me?
No, vindication. I'm with you.
And favorite scene, Steph?
I love the scenes between the mayor and Faith. The milk scene, the scene later where they're like, we're going to get him to bang you. Don't worry. When he makes her feel better after that, right? Like this, it's like we said, it's no good. Oh no, what's he doing? The manipulation, the grooming, it's just it's fun to watch. He's a fun character.
He is. He really is. I think he's only second to Glory of like fun to watch villains. Kara, what was your favorite scene?
I really liked the girl talk between Buffy and Willow. I don't know if I'm just feeling nostalgic for the less complicated times in Sunnydale, but it was just a nice, cute scene.
Fair. Alex?
I guess I'll go with the iconic second best line, because before my answer would have been the Willow and Buffy discussion, but I mean, it's hard to beat the second best.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Damn it. I was like, second best what? Oh, right. Because that is also my favorite scene, but I put it as Faith's like iconic slow motion turn is what I put. Yes. But yeah, same thing. What grade do we give this episode, Kara?
I give it a solid A.
Alex?
Yeah, I'll give it an A. I really enjoy it.
Steph?
A.
Ooh, this rarely ever happens. I'm going to be the harshest grader. I give it a B plus though, not a bad grade.
Why?
It just drives me nuts that I don't know when they start knowing. Like there isn't a clear cut moment of, oh, this is when it took a turn. Even rewatching it for the 1,000th time, there is still not a clear cut line of like, this is when.
That's what lost the plus for me. Like just the A, a solid A.
I deducted the plus.
Yeah.
that and the insane poor food handling of that milk.
Now they all pointed that out. I don't know why I didn't even think about that, but like, yeah, that's disgusting. Don't leave a pitcher of milk out on a table.
Especially because he's supposed to be a germaphobe too. So
yeah, he's so evil.
Like if you're all having breakfast together, sure, but like it's just sitting there like it's like a bottle of whiskey. Like
yeah, it's like how long? For other meetings did he have it there?
All right. Well, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for being so patient. We went over a lot and no one complained, and I really appreciate it. I was trying to speed us up, so I'm like, shit, I'm keeping everyone so long. But I appreciate it. It was really great talking to the three of you. So thank you for joining me. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being part of the Patreon if you're listening to this on the Patreon. And if you subscribe to our higher power tier on Patreon, you can add in your favorite outfit scene and grade to the end of one of our recordings. Here's Patreon subscriber Angel Morales with his.
Hey, this is Angel, and this is my outro for Buffy Season 3, episode Enemies. My favorite scene, I'm gonna have to say, is when Xander gets punched in the mouth. I think it's what collectively we've all wanted to do in the series. The person with my favorite outfit is Giles. Can't go wrong with the suspenders and tie combo. He's also the only one not wearing a ton of layers in this hot, hot California. I'm also gonna have to give this episode an A-. It really had me in the feels watching Buffy struggle seeing Angel with Faith, though I totally watched that spinoff.
Kara and Steph, which one of you wants to take it to let everyone know where they can find Prophecy Girls?
Kara does.
Yeah, that's my job. So Steph and I host Prophecy Girls, a Buffy rewatch podcast. Our website is prophecygirls.ca. We're Prophecy Girls Podcast on Instagram and TikTok, and Prophecy_Girls on Twitter. We're currently recapping season 7 of Buffy, and then we've got some thoughts about what we're doing after that. But yeah, we'd love if you came and you listened. And we also have a Discord that you can join, prophecygirls.ca/Discord.
And I cannot stress enough how fucking fantastic the Prophecy Girls TikTok account is.
That's all Steph. Steph gets all the credit for that.
Constantly jealous. I'm like, shit, that was clever. I wish I could think this clever of TikToks. I am terrible at TikTok. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. What's a TikTok? Like, I feel like I think about them like a month later. I'm like, oh, that would have been fun to do if I did that. But now it's too late.
I know. It's hard to think like a youth. Like,
yes, it really is. Alex, let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Alex Ketchum. You can find me on Twitter /X at aketchum22. And then my website, alexketchum.ca. But if you Google Alex Ketchum, and it's KETCHUM, like ketchup, but with an M instead of a P, you should be able to find me and find my books and stuff.
I was just going to say, you're very easy to search because I'm like, oh, it's just like ketchup, but just with an M. That's like, makes it very easy to find you on social media. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening, and thank you for joining me, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.